And I do request to speak to the entire three-bill package.
I'll allow it.
A recurring theme in this legislature over the past couple of years is a failure to learn from past mistakes. These bills create the so-called Michigan Innovation Fund, are a step backward in return to a policy already proven to be an abject failure. Yet again, we are reverting to government-run programs that cost taxpayers without an adequate return on their investment. Our state had a program called the Venture Michigan Fund that was established back in 2003. It had goals very similar to what is proposed in this legislation. This is a fund that keeps getting brought up no matter where I go. When I was Appropriations Chair in the House, I saw budget requests from the Governor's office to the tunes of tens of millions of dollars to pay for the Venture Michigan Fund to purchase the remaining outstanding liability-backed tax vouchers. I was told at the time I could either agree to fork over the money now or I could fork over more money later. It was a lose-lose proposition for the Michigan taxpayer. This budget request from mine was not the first experience I had with this fund. It was also brought up when I worked at the state's Bureau of Investments. It was then I learned of this highly convoluted fund that was created by Lansing politicians with the goal of funding Michigan startups through venture capital. I asked at the time if it had been successful, and I didn't get a lot of positive feedback. I later learned the Venture Michigan Fund flopped. According to an Auditor General report from 2018, the $450 million borrowed and nearly $250 million invested by the Venture Michigan Fund helped support the creation of about 743 jobs as of December 2015. There were also 2 companies that the fund invested in that shortly thereafter moved out of Michigan, resulting in a loss of 100 jobs. Everything I experienced in my work with the legislature and as an analyst at the Bureau of Investments leads me to conclude this fund has a high likelihood of failure for a multitude of reasons. 2 factors are the biggest. First, these are risky assets. Venture capital investing focuses on early-stage company with unproven products and business models. Quite often, you have an entrepreneur with an interesting and promising product, but they have little experience in bringing those products to market. On top of that, there is the risk that the innovation will fail altogether when brought to market. Most venture capital funds hope a small number of home-run investments will make the bank, maybe 1 to 3 out of an overall dozen investments. The success rate is low, and one needs to be really good in this space to make a living out of picking winners. To say the least, this is a risky asset class, and as I have indicated before, the state has a record of failure in this space. The second and arguably biggest point is this. This is not the state's money. It's taxpayers' money. Managers that operate in private venture capital at least have an alignment of interest when making investments. If they pick a loser, they lose as well. And if they pick enough losers, nobody will invest in them again in the future. This is not so with these tax dollars. It is relatively easy to lose someone else's money compared to when losing one's own. When politics and investing mix, it is not an efficient market. Deals will be made based on talking points and press releases, not on long-term return on investment. Just look at the past performance of this fund and judge for oneself. Now, it is a fact that some Republicans have supported this proposal. I can understand where they are coming from. I used to hold a more optimistic viewpoint of the state getting involved in economic development. I used to view it as sort of a necessary evil. You could say I thought it was not the ideal. However, if other governments were doing it, we would miss out on opportunities by abstaining. I thought if perhaps we came up with a process that provided oversight and prudently filtered projects based on merit, it might work. However, I learned from my past experience. I have seen that there is simply no way to accomplish a prudent government-run incentive program. At the end of the day, it is centralized planning, and no technocratic board or committee is going to be as efficient as letting people keep their own money and investing it where there is actually a market need. To put it more simply, Michigan taxpayers would see a better benefit if we simply lowered their taxes and let them keep their own money. I will end by saying this. I hope we can learn from past mistakes. I encourage my colleagues to abandon the failed policies laid out in this plan and vote no. Thank you, Madam President.